Welcome to a FACEHAMMER show where we're going to talk about the Mancunian carnage. Have I said that right, Alex?
Yeah,
good.
Manchurian.
Manchurian. The Manchurian.
He doesn't want to get beaten up by scousers when he comes, does he?
No, I don't. And we have a very special guest today. So welcome for the first time, Alex, the organizer.
Alex
from Ghost Arm on Twitter, who is part of our lovely team that went to Warhammer Wild Teams. So
it was a lovely team. It was a very successful team, but it was a lovely team.
It was successful in other ways.
Yeah, fun.
In friendship and fun.
We won a Grand Alliance friendship.
Let's not give people ideas. So we thought you'd get you on because we're going to the Carnage event in less than 2 weeks away now. And we've modified our army list a little bit, and we thought we'd get you on to talk about the pack, go through some stats of the attendees, and go through some of your top picks of army list, to find out who you think is a contender and who's quirky, which is probably
he's just a hero. Yeah,
2 words that I think you used when you described the list.
Yeah, that sounds fun. I mean, I've gone a bit bonkers on stats. You were inundated by pie charts earlier, and Twitter has had a fairly steady deluge of them. So there's some interesting or not interesting things to look at.
It's like that I'm on a diet and I can't eat pies.
They're
so you're just there like pies.
No. I guess it makes sense to ask Alex, like, why do you run your events and what are they for?
Why do I run my events?
Yeah.
At this point, I kind of lose sight of why because I'm really stressed. I actually had a panic earlier that I booked the wrong date at Element and that I was going to have to cancel the whole thing and give everyone their money back.
We're all good.
We're okay.
I'm really glad that wasn't a thing.
Thanks to your very nice new events manager.
Yeah,
I'm now calm again.
Yeah,
don't worry. I've got some stuff in there, so he should be pulling out all stops.
He is lovely. I run them because I enjoy going to events. And if people don't run events, then there won't be any events for everyone else to go to. That's it, really. I kind of, this sounds so naff, but I wanted to put something back.
Yeah.
That's so cheesy. But yeah, no,
it's really awful, isn't it? But that's kind of why. I go to a lot of events that are really nicely run, and I want to run nice events for the people so they have a fun time. That's it. As saccharine as that.
It's a good,
Is there any selfish part where you'd like to attend events like yours? Because generally people run the type of events that they'd like to go to, right? Are you is that part of it at all?
Kind of, yeah. I would like to go to my event.
Well, you are going to be there, but not playing it.
No.
It's the more
I do it on my own. It's not even like I couldn't even be the spare if I really want. There's just zero chance. My event borrows quite a bit from other events. I wouldn't say anything I do is particularly unique. The only thing that maybe is my custom secondaries, but then that was done a few years ago at a Warhammer World event I think I went to. So it borrows stuff that I've enjoyed elsewhere and kind of puts it together in a, Frankenstein event of joy.
Yeah.
It is like, they always have a brilliant atmosphere. I think they've kind of ended up that being a self-perpetuating thing, right? Because nice people come and told other nice people, and then you just turn up and it's full of nice people.
Yeah, the compass helped with that this time round as well, because you've got to try harder.
It does wheedle them out, doesn't it?
Killed it, yeah. Your army, you can't come, which is fine. But I will do. There is another one later in the year in August, and I'm not going to comp anything at that. So you look at the rosters for the events, and they kind of reflect that.
Really?
I haven't put up.
And they're both singles events.
Both singles events, and there's teams later in the year as well. So it isn't entirely down to that. I do think that, like you say, Brian, it's self-perpetuating. Like the kind of the crowd that go to Sheffield tend to be quite similar each year, and the people that go tend to know people who knew each other each year. And same with FACEHAMMER. To be perfectly honest, it's funny how those little kind of communities develop around events, which I'm happy with because it's people that I guess the seed of it was people I knew. And when I started doing it a few years ago, it was only 25, 30 people at Forge in Eccles. And now it's at Element, obviously can be a lot bigger, but it's still a very similar crowd of people, which is lovely. And I would happily play, unfortunately I won't get to this weekend or next weekend when it actually is, but I would happily play pretty much everyone who's on that list and merrily get beaten by them in most cases. So it's a lovely atmosphere, and I will have a very good time, despite the fact I will look unbelievably red and stressed for both the days. I will be having a good time, trust me.
Yeah.
I thrive.
I'll say it is quite impressive you tend to do it all on your own. So
yeah, absolutely is.
It's insane. It's a terrible idea.
It is a terrible idea, but it's
I've already tried to force my staff on you, not like that, but to use as helpers as much as possible, because running that as a one-man band is a bit ridiculous. So I
kind of enjoy it. It's a horribly masochistic thing to do.
Like painting an army.
Yeah. It's nuts. But there's a nice team there, and I do have the offer of a helper from Russ Perkins is bringing his son, not like a house boy, who is the spare. He's old enough to play as a spare, and will do a few bits and pieces. And there's a couple of very helpful people who've sort of jumped in on Sunday afternoon when the admin gets quite heavy for things like sports and adding paint votes and stuff like that. So Gabe Huddleston's helped me out before, and I'm sure Joe, lovely Joe, will lend a hand. So I'm kind of not entirely on my own. The only time that's ever been a challenge is where there's like an annoying rules question on a top table towards the end of the day. But I also need to kind of start moving towards
things
on. So that's the only time that's a bit of a challenge. It is a bit mad. I'm a bit of a control freak, so I'm not entirely confident that I could work with someone else because it's mine.
It's very honest of you.
Yeah.
I struggle. I really struggle.
So a bit about, so you started running events a few years ago, as you say, so maybe just give a little bit of information about, like, I mean, I remember meeting you at when you had hair and I was a lot thinner. So many years ago at a Warhammer World event, back when I think it must have been like 6th edition or something silly like that.
I think it was around the time. Do you remember a guy called Joe Sturge? Was running Wood Elves really successfully around then.
Everyone was running Wood Elves successfully because they were completely broken.
7th to 8th, they were brilliant.
I
was playing Team Kings, and almost every time I played against Wood Elves, would just basically want to put my army in the bin. It was fun times back then. So people think it's bad now. It ain't bad now.
It's horrible back then. I hated Wood Elves then. I hate them now. You call them Sylvaneth all you like. They're still triggers and twigs, and they can put them in the bin.
So you've comped them into the ground, right? Because they're so good right now.
I've actually given them 250 extra points.
What are you doing? No.
And I think there's only like 2 lists still coming. One of whom has bizarrely refused to use the extra points. His view being that it wouldn't be a proper victory if he didn't win with the full amount of
Love
points.
it.
There's some ethics.
He would be happy with that, but
it's not like Math Mallow or someone who would actually come and just shred face with it.
Does he definitely get a triumph then?
If he's put one down, so many people didn't bother.
How many points under are you? 260.
Yeah, all right, you get it. It's fine.
He's more than that. He's 285 points under.
I guess by his ethics, he wouldn't be allowed to accept it. He'd be 15 points under, wouldn't he? So,
I mean, you got to admire his spunk, I think is the word.
His sprite.
But I mean, he's not going to win. I've met him, beaten him. I beat him.
Definitely not then.
I beat his long strikes and dragons list, and now he's bringing Sylvaneth, so he's got no chance. And he can't use the internet properly, so he won't listen to this anyway.
Yay! That's good. We're not offending anyone.
Good luck on that.
Yeah, we did.
I'm sure we'll manage.
We'll get there.
We met years and years and years ago. I got into the hobby. I've had kind of 3 stints in the hobby. One as a little boy. Got some vampires from Bolton and made my dad buy me a Nagash, which was like stint number 1. The proper clown one.
Gary the Gash. Oh, yeah.
I probably still got him somewhere. Dropped it, obviously, because I became an old person and got into Pokemon, as you do. And then returned to it at university. One of my many attempts to get a degree was ruined by finding Games Workshop was in Nottingham, thanks to Neil Peckett. Got into Orcs and Goblins. I've always been, a power gamer, as we well know. So I got into Orcs and Goblins when they were super, super rubbish. And spent a few years. That's when you'd have met me.
Yeah.
Bummed around a bit, worked for Games Workshop briefly at Warhammer World, and then kind of dropped it all and came back to Age of Sigmar when I moved out of London about 4 or 5 years ago. And discovered
that's when I will have first met you, I think.
Yeah, I'll be around then. I started doing a few one days at Element. I discovered that Warhammer was not Warhammer Fantasy anymore. It was what's this Age of Sigmar? Someone told me that they blew it all up when I was like trying to get back into it. I thought, what do you mean blew it all up?
They literally
blew it all up, like quite dramatic.
I really found that was funny because they started releasing a series of book called The End Times, and it was like the people were like, this can't be the end. It's like it's called The End Times.
Yeah, closing the name.
Literally called.
What if I want to run Leopold on his horse?
You could for a while. They're in that compendium.
And there were some wicked rules for Daisy.
That was my favourite. The old Avaland Mad Count with his Daisy cow, Daisy horse, wasn't it? And you had to talk to your horse or something.
Yeah, I know we shouldn't miss stuff like that, but his scroll I will make a wholehearted exception for because I thought it was wonderful.
A bit of whimsy. We miss a little bit of whimsy every now and again.
It's like if you're willing to listen to your horse, your guy goes mad and you get some bonuses and some negatives at the same time. Wicked.
Just the vampire one. Can you see the sun? Then you're then you're at negatives.
No,
just imagine war gamers trying to hide in the corner of the room where the sunshine can't get them, so they get a bonus in the game.
It's not too late to add some comp into the pack. Shall I put that in there?
Well, it's fine. I'm not playing vampires. It would be quite funny.
That Sylvaneth player can have Leopold for free if he likes.
Yeah, go for it.
Because he wouldn't be a true victory.
I don't think Leopold's going to help.
Yeah, cool. So that's a bit about you and getting back. And it's fair to say that you're quite a prolific hobbyist. We saw your lovely iron jaws that were nommed and multiple events. And
when I it's funny going real fits. I've not painted anything for weeks, but suddenly, I'll have a painted army. I'll just pop it out like a big egg. I've got Skaven that I've now just about finished undercoating, just in time for them to get a new book with a new cover. No.
How weird is that, right?
It's 3 out of 3 have had a new cover and the others have just had reset. It's really strange because there's loads of art for Skaven. They've been around for years.
Brilliant art for Skaven.
I really was a bit like, it's the same cover. Okay. But then the daughters have got a new cover.
Yeah. Stormcast got
a new cover. Orcs got a new cover. It's Cruel Boys. Maggot King got a new cover. We don't know, do we? Have they shown it? I don't know.
I think someone said that it hadn't, but that was from Twitter, and I don't
think they've actually shown the cover. They've just talked about. Well, they might have done actually.
It's probably just a grumpy tree person moaning about the cover, but So I am quite prolific, but it is fits and starts. Sometimes I go through like 2 weeks where I'll just like paint every evening.
Just get that new assassin model. Death
Master. I will get that. I'll probably have to buy the whole box.
Sick. Yeah,
that's one of the best new models they've made in like 2 years, I think.
All the new Skaven stuff has been lovely, which is why it's such a crying shame that there aren't. Well, this is there might be. I just don't think there are other models coming down the line. Like the original Underworlds game they did for them was brilliant. The new one, brilliant. That assassin model, just off the scale, good.
Skaven models, one of the best kits they've ever made. The Skaven range is incredible.
Yeah, it's generally been amazing. I think the only time they had a blip was when they went to multi-part chunky hand clan rats and the really chunky warp fire throwers and Giselles when they were like huge guns. But that was like, but you could legitimately just get the 1980s Skaven, paint them and put them on round bases and they would look legit. I mean, just ask Wayne Kemp, he's done it about 8 times. So
yeah, they do look amazing. I've been scouring eBay for bits and pieces, which will get mashed into what I'm currently doing. And like you put a metal mini side by side with some of the newer plastic stuff, you can't tell the difference.
No. If there's anything you need, let me know. I've got a lot.
Okay. I might send you a little shopping list.
You might save him from making any more £300 commander models.
Have you been doing that?
No, that's you.
Oh yeah,
that's you with your Tomb Kings with its like legacy value,
etc. Yeah, it's not worth talking about that. That is a really expensive army. That's one where I went mental.
Yeah,
I won't be doing that again.
Everyone needs a lockdown project. That's fine.
I had 3. I just bought back one of my lockdown projects, which I sold. Some people played some games with, and now is mine again. Yeah,
I can't sell armies. Not once I finish painting. I just can't.
It's a shocking idea, but it feels like a good idea at the time. You think
it's never a good idea,
no,
especially in AOS. Things change so often. In 6 months' time, it's going to be good, and then unless it's death, it's always bad, right? So,
well, this is my second time around with Skaventide. I sold one to a man.
Sorry, I'm just joking.
But what are you bitching about now?
I'm just bitching about death as usual.
We'll see next week.
Yeah, well, we've got the
we might have a pie chart on that
Nighthaunt review to do yet, so looking forward to talking about that. Anyway, so let's talk about your event. So one of the things we kind of mentioned is comp, right? So you've got some comp. Yeah. So I think it's probably a good idea, maybe just say like, why did you put comp in your event as a start? On the spot?
Why?
Yeah.
Well, no, that's putting me on the spot because some things in the game are busted and not fun at all, and don't need massive amounts of input into making them less busted and irritating. Yeah. So that seemed reasonable, entirely reasonable. That given that I am in charge, I would do that on
it's your house.
My house, my rules. Everyone else can.
That's what they're called. House rules.
Is this one of those things where you'd really like to play an event with comp, and you're like, well, I'm going to put it there, and if people enjoy it, maybe they'll run an event like that?
Yeah, I think so. There's two things in the comp that I really wish were more broadly acceptable, and they are the things I've done to Giants, which is make them bracket, which they should always have done. Ludicrous that they didn't.
Yeah,
and this kind of acknowledgement, the tacit acknowledgement for that with GW is adding that Kragnos' War Scroll. Yeah. This is how it should work. And basically cutting the feet off lizards because they are just an absolutely horrendous book. And we had a long conversation about this, and I think we could probably have comped every War Scroll. Maybe not so
easily.
Ones that you see in army lists, like generally.
Yeah.
Like, because no one's comping Saurus Cav, are they? Let's be honest.
No. Although I did play someone with them at teams.
I've played someone with. It's probably the same guy actually. I think I played him at singles at your event actually when I was playing Iron Jaws, and he had Saurus Cav, which I was like, oh, okay. Obviously, still the obligatory Bastardodon / Slan / Priest / whatever else, but. So I'm not going to talk about the kick objective thing because I know why that's in there. You've been lobbied, it's fine. But Sons of Bear, Matt, you've put a wound. So just to explain what you're talking about, so you've changed the mightier makes rightier rule to basically be a bit like Kragnos, right? Where as you take wounds, you count as less capture power on objectives.
Yeah. So I effectively just borrowed the degradation sort of list from him. So 0 to 9 wounds is normal, and then you start to bracket at 10 to 14, 15, 17, 18, plus you lose 5 off your value each time. It stops at 18. So you're never worth less than 18, but you're not just sat on an objective worth 30 models for the entirety of the game. Annoying the daylights out of everyone. So it just felt like a much fairer thing to do.
Are they 20 normally at Krakens of 30? Have I got that wrong in my head?
Is my comp wrong?
No, I think Krakens get a bonus. Taker tribes get a bonus, don't they? So I think they're 20 normally, then 30 if there's a difference. So anyway, but they're all that. Okay.
I'll have to
it
check
works.
that.
It's fine.
In theory it works. We just have to double check the numbers. Yeah, so that's the major change. It just I've not beaten a Gargant list since they've been out, partly because I'm rubbish at Warhammer. I mean, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I just need to throw everything at them and they don't move. And it's partly due to the fact that they can just take the objective and they rack up all those points. By the time you've got them down, you've got nothing left to do anything with. It's a negative experience. They're really boring to play with and against. So I wanted to discourage people from taking them. And mission's fairly successful. I'm going to look at my stats and tell you.
I'd imagine also that the players of them, like a lot when we come to Lumineth, people get complained at quite a lot. And just turning up and telling your opponent, I'm doing this, that's suddenly the game's absolutely fine. You know, like, cool, done. You know, that's like the book's okay.
Yeah. So, it seems to work. There's 4 coming.
Yeah, so I've got your alliance pie up at the moment, 5.1%.
5.1%. It's a good pie. It's a slice of it. I prefer people, took away 8 and shout out for me. But that's one of the major things I did. Seraphon got it in the neck as well because they've just got too much good stuff. They don't have to make any choices about what they pick, and they can have a fantastic army, which really annoys me. So the command point thing, foresight, that's gone off the slam.
Even so that's the 3 dice every 4 plus as a CP, right? Which just means they can just shit them all game without caring.
Yeah. And they're a really valuable resource at the moment, so they needed that to be taken away. Skink Priests, everyone has to acknowledge that they are dangerously underpointed, so they've gone up to 140 from what were they predicted?
80
or so, nearly doubled the cost of those.
Almost the same as the Gladiatrix.
Recorded that yesterday.
Sorry.
Start again. She didn't need to go down though.
They've been ranting.
Oh yeah.
Good. I'll listen to that. And the coalesce thing, where the damage reduction happens, that is now only applicable to Crocscore and monsters.
Not skinks, right? The scaly skinks.
Yeah, those really tough, resilient, tiny little beasts.
You statistically can't be killed by Bellator.
Can they not?
10 skinks can't statistically be killed by Bellator. Cool, because he's damaged 2. He's got 8 attacks.
You can at my tournament, so enjoy. So they're the major changes for Seraphon. I fairly well known that I have a bit of a personal vendetta against Seraphon. I hate them. I hate playing them
for a while, so I'm down.
Yeah. So sorry,
nice the players have a challenge as well.
But it's quite nice because it doesn't. I don't think it's not like destroying the army. It's just a level of like balance coming in.
He's trying to bring everything. Because I've also obviously boosted some armies as well, and the objective with this has not been kind of clip the wings of certain things and just to make everyone have a horrible time. There's also the kind of idea that some armies need bringing up to hopefully allow everyone to meet in the middle. I don't think that's entirely possible with some armies. I think you could give Gloomspite maybe another 500 to 1,000 points.
Yeah,
they'd still come.
Get some more crap.
Yeah. Do you want to go up the table with these? Oh, they're dead. Turn 2.
I played against Gloomspite army. I actually played against 2 Gloomspite armies at the last team event we went to, and I just hadn't played against them for so long. Didn't know what anything did. And I gave them way too much respect. I was like, what do they do?
Yeah, both times.
They can do this, right?
Turn 2.
So they've got rend. No, they don't. Okay. Do they do Moors? No. They damage 2. No, damage 1. It's like, they're really bad, aren't they? It's like, yeah. I was like, okay. But you've given them the monster keyword to the Trog boss, which I think is appropriate. Yeah. You've given them 6 reinforcement points.
Yeah.
Alongside Bone Splitters and Skaven.
Yeah.
You've put some comp on. I'm just going down the list. So Stormcast Eternals, Stormdrake Guard, and not battle line unless you've got Karazai or Krondis.
And
the once per game move is just a 6-inch, and on stand and shoot, Unleash Hell you amend the roll so it's not as effective, and you can't use the hero phase move to retreat. So quite a heavy on the Stormdrake Guard.
Yeah.
But entirely sensible, I think.
Yeah.
You may have asked us our opinion on them.
Yeah, I asked a few people's opinion on those. Everyone has the same opinion unless they
use them.
Yeah, which is that they're
always telling.
I know that if I allied in a Stormdrake Guard into my Deepkin army, it would make my army infinitely better, but I just won't out of principle.
Good for you. Yeah, they're a pain. They do ally well in a couple of armies.
It's like, do I have Stormdrake Guard or do I have an Aspect to the Sea? And I'm like, well, obviously I should take the Stormdrake Guard.
This one uses probability. This one goes where it wants.
This one is just awful and does hardly anything. This one just does everything it wants.
It's the sheer reliability of them that is just. They are going to do certain things and do them really well.
That's like what you've taken away from Lizards. You're taking away the bits that ignore probability, which is a key aspect of the game.
Yeah, in a dice, as we found out at teams, like it is a dice game, and sometimes it is the dice that are going to win, lose you the game. And if you have the units like Stormdrake Guard without loads of edits, then they're ridiculous.
I just wish the Marker's Inch was comped, so you didn't get to reroll ones on your armor save with Archeon stupidness.
No one good's taking them, so I wouldn't worry about it.
No, but they well, I've lost to it a couple times.
Oh, he is coming.
I park my man in the middle of the table.
Oh, it's the Vice. I stand on the middle. Can you kill him? No. With your entire army in high tide? No.
We don't know if the Vice will come up, though, do we?
No. She got the wheel.
Another random element added to the event, which people hate.
It's fine. It's totally fine. You changed cities of Sigmar, Living City. So
yeah, speaking of Stormdrake as allies, this is another kind of broken thing that was picked up from the Stormcast and book release. And what for people who don't know, Living Cities in the Cities of Sigmar have a command ability that allow a unit to make a normal move after it's fired, after it's shot. Which, if you're doing that with what it was intended to be used with, maybe a unit of archers or crossbows, there aren't any archers, then you shoot, and then the rule is literally called strike, then melt away. If you do that with fulminators with their 10-inch
strike and get in your face,
strike, which it's hard to write that rule down because I'm not sure what the spelling of that is. But it is
them.
Yeah, strike and then smash you into oblivion, which is what fulminators do.
Yeah.
So
because they use the move, shoot with the breath, use the move to go free away, then charge you.
Yeah, or they
after coming on from the board.
Yeah, you deploy them off the table, come on more than 9, their shot is more than 9, so they can shoot, get their move, and then that's not a charge you need to worry about probability for. And they're quite good on the charge, so
quite good that damage-free.
Not only are they quite good, but they are very efficiently pointed in Stormcast, never mind in other stuff.
They are. So they make 2 good and ally Living Cities. So I have added a sentence to that rule to fit with the intention of the rule, which is models receiving this command must end their move further away from enemy models.
Good. I'm down.
Seems sensible. Yeah. Might see some other cities in play.
Yeah, there are no Living Cities coming to the event.
Oh, shock. I bet there would be a lot if they...
The thing is, though,
they're still good. It doesn't make them
still
bad.
Not bad. You could come on, and then you could use that move to get close to an objective, which is exactly what, the name of it would, shadows.
Don't bring sensible tactics in this. It's all about this. What I can map out in my army list and online in forums, which allows me to just smash an ore and win the game on turn 1 because I don't want to play the game really.
I'd super happily use that. That'd be a fun army to play with as well. Come on from the sides. Come to the middle, your screens are in the way, wicked, get a stand and shoot again, so get a few shots out of them, be tactical and everything.
I told the lad there is Living Cities. He's allied something else in.
Yeah, they're not really allies though, are they, Stormcast? They're like coalition units in Living Cities.
Oh, he's got Stormdrake Guard instead, so it's fine.
Yeah, because they can move anyway, so it doesn't matter. Only 6 inches now, though.
Slightly less now. Yeah.
Has he got a relictor with a translocate on a 2+ with a reroll? No, because he's not playing Stormcast.
It's one list I'm not worried about. He's a nice guy.
So you've changed the foxes as well, haven't you? Which we
irrelevant now, bringing Lumineth. But yeah, took the FACEHAMMER comp and let it breathe again to stop the fox in everyone's life.
No incarnates.
No fundia or lack of fundia incarnates being used. No Thondia thighs. I didn't understand the Thondia War Scroll incarnates, if I'm honest. I read it about 4 times and couldn't get my head around what on earth they were, how it worked, and how I could kill it. I didn't
Not
want
many
to put
downsides, not easily, basically.
I've managed it. They're all they kick out a lot of damage, but there is definitely a way to deal with them, which I didn't realize at the time. You just throw a relatively high damage unit at them, and it is going to die, but you just need to do enough to take it down a level. Do that twice, and it's gone. Fine. Just don't give it a monster.
Yeah. Then the other thing you did is you've given Skaven, Nighthaunt, Sylvaneth, Gloomspite, Khorne, Flesh Eater Courts, and Head Knights 250 extra points.
There's one tasty one in there.
The Khorne one?
Yeah.
That's like a free bloodthirster.
Yeah. I've written little notes next to everyone's lists that they've come in, and next to one of the Khorne ones, I just wrote, "What have I done?" Because I did slightly underestimate how good they would be. I admitted this to you both. I haven't picked any Khorne lists to talk about because I know absolutely jizz all about them.
Yeah, you could have done because I know loads about them.
Yeah,
educated.
Kind of underrated currently.
We can
partly because I've not played any for 2 years. I think last time I saw a Khorne list on the table against me was at Bobo, which was actually 3 years ago, which is insane.
I think the lack of Khorne list on the table is proof of how fickle gamers are, because they're cool as hell. They are monster heavy. The monsters are extremely efficiently pointed, and it's just not had a book for ages. I think people they're not thinking about them. They're so good. Yeah.
Well, a lot of people haven't written them off for this event because I think there's 5 Khorne lists.
Hey, if you had an army and you hadn't got it out for a bit,
good excuse.
Great. Yeah.
I'm happy with that. That's mission accomplished for me. Tell that is 4, but it's still a decent percentage given there's like an 80-person event. But yeah, the other armies need. I mean, Khorne don't necessarily need it, but they've really benefited from it. But the other armies really did need it. Sadly, the ones that I was really hoping to see a bit more of were Skaven and Gloomspite, and there's one of each. Which is sad time.
But it's better than none.
Yeah, it is better than none.
It's a lot better than none, yeah.
There is a Head Knights list. There was one of the last submissions was a Head Knights list. And it's all of them have got more than Lumineth who aren't coming to the event.
Oh, I feel really bad about that. Not.
I do.
And then you've added Kragnos and Marathi the Shadow Queen to prime hunter targets.
Oh,
makes sense.
Yeah, just should be.
Sense.
Yeah, Kragnos is a nightmare for most armies to deal with. You should get a reward for getting rid of him.
I played him, so I've played 10 games with Nurgle, and I'm 1 game or 2 games off playing him every other game so far.
I've obviously run him quite a bit recently. Yeah. He's a lot of fun. When he does hit stuff, it's horrendous. And the fact that he's not on that list with the Gargants is bonkers. To be honest, he's probably one of 2, really. Like the Gargants are, but that feels.
I think that there's a way to deal with him. Like what he does on the table is scary as hell, but in terms of objectives and stuff, he can't. I think he's appropriately appointed. It's probably.
It's the charge thing in the right army.
The 3d6 charge in ogres is
mental.
Yeah, I guess, he's a false multiplier, isn't he? It's not just his scroll; it's his AOE.
It's what he does to the other stuff. I only dropped him because I got caught out a couple of times by not being able to smash and bash with him with my Iron Jaws, which my Rogue Idol is much better at, must be said. But he just belongs there. It was a strange omission from the Prime Hunters thing,
which runs out fine. Because he's in ogres, brilliant. Maybe you'd have a separate one for ogres, but otherwise, I think he's probably fairly even. Like in Gloomspite, I think he's a wicked inclusion.
Yeah. I've basically given you a third off Kragnos in Gloomspite.
Kragnos, let's go.
Kragnos Trolls. That's
not bad. Yeah,
he might be in the troll list. So the Gloomspite list that's coming is Troggoth heavy.
It probably has him, I'd imagine.
Let me have a little goosey gander.
Yeah, has anyone ever painted 2,250 points of trolls?
It's quite good in flesh eaters because you basically get an arch regent, which then gives you another unit. So
yeah,
that's what Mike Browning's done. Exactly, it's his usual list, but with an extra arch regent. So it's just extra stuff. He has not brought Kragnos, no.
More trolls.
That is a Dankhold, a Troggoth Hag, a Fungoid, 6 Fellwater Troggoths, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 units of 6 Rotguts.
Okay,
Rock
so yeah,
so good.
That's genuinely like
they are.
That probably feels about right.
Yeah,
because it's always a shame you can't get the big lady and the troll hag and the characters, and then have the units chunky rather than break them down into small ones. That's quite a cool army, really.
It's going to look really cool. It's going to really smack some things when it actually...
It definitely is.
Yeah.
Or just grind, which is what they do.
Good for him. But yeah, no Kragnos. There are a few knocking about, not as many. I think one of the things I've been really happy with as an outcome of that comp, and it might not be the comp, it might just be the tone of the event generally, is that the lists are... There's only a couple that have made me want to vomit. And normally when I'm looking down like list releases for events, there's at least a dozen that I just think, I don't want to play you. And that has only happened on a couple of occasions with this. And people seem to be trying out like new stuff, or
that's cool. That's what you want, right?
Yeah, having a go, or sticking in a mad amount of heroes into a list. Yeah, there's very little net list, try hard, I'm going to do this because I want to win the event stuff going on, which is exactly what I want. So it's achieved its objective. But if you don't like it, then
don't come.
That's fine. If you want to come and get my own brand of tournament loveliness, then you can come to the Warhammer version I'm doing in August, which is absolutely fine. 3 Kragnos stats.
Okay, I've got your pies that I'll get in a minute, but I just wanted to talk about the secondaries, because I think when I went to your event before, there's something that people I don't think really think about, and you probably should, because they're worth an awful lot of points, right? Because
you didn't read the pack?
I never read. I know it's fine. Like, it's fine. Like I'm just taking what I want to take, and I'm not really bothered. I'm not. You know, I just wanted to take my deepkin. I don't care. But you've got some secondaries, so you pick these basically before you pick sides, right? And you share it. So it's open. You can use them once per tournament. And there's 10. There's some amusing names. So you've got the Eagles are coming, which is have 2 units with a fly contested objective at the end of a turn, which would be fairly straightforward for some armies, I think. That's a good one for me. So I like that one. The dead cost nothing. Score if all allied units on your roster are dead by the end of the battle. So put a unit of Aether Wings in is probably...
that explains why Aether Wings are in all the Stormcast lists. They're just going to kill them. Okay.
Yeah, anyone who's got older, take a unit of Aether Wings, you just throw them in. That's a thing done.
I've written an extra few lists. Why are Aether Wings in here? Now it makes sense. Because they've actually read the pack.
And I just didn't want to paint anything else. One of my favourite ones by Grabfar's Hammer, You Shall Be Avenged. Just because of the reference. Love a bit of Galaxy Quest. So it's destroy a unit which is responsible for the death of your first hero before the end of the game.
Cool. Good luck tracking that one.
Yeah.
Do that one early in the day on Saturday.
I like the idea that you have to play into that. Like, that's just,
I did it when I played OBR because I knew that he was going to prioritize my Mortars and Soul Mason, so I made him the secondary. So if we shot him off, at least I had a unit. I had to kill the Sentinels, which I want to do anyway. So I was like, well, if you shoot off my hero who ran across the board, like open, like, oh no, I left him outside of lookout sir range. Whoops.
Whoopsie.
Not that it matters because they're just mortal him anyway. There's no place like home. Nominate a hero to be Dorothy. They must be contesting one of the objectives in your territory at the end of the battle. So fairly easy, I think.
The thing with these, that because you're sharing them with your opponent, you're right. They're worth effectively 10 points really to deny and get yours. I've been in a couple of conversations with people recently who they've actually built some of their army choices around this.
Yeah,
they've identified the ones that they're going to try and get, which I think is a bit dangerous because you don't know what you're going to be matched up against. Because the Dorothy one sounds like a great idea unless you were against something with really good shooting, in which case they're probably going to deny you straight away. I just like the idea that there's slightly more going on in the game. That is, there's actually going to reward you some points. That there's still something to play for.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you are going to get wiped, actually some of these are still achievable, so you can walk away with a little bit to boost you with the rankings.
Yeah. And then you've got only counts as one, slay your opponent's highest pointed behemoth. So nominate two, and nominate if two of the same value.
A behemoth.
Mm-hmm. That's what it says, isn't it?
Behemoth.
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 Correction.
You know what I mean.
I know what you mean. Still going to correct you.
All right. Just one to tell the tale. Leave your opponent with no more or less than one hero by the end of the battle.
That's my favorite one, I think.
Yeah, that's so fun.
They're coming up
because then your opponent could end up just trying to screw you over.
Trying to suicide a hero. There's been really funny stories out from that one at a couple of events. It's such a good one.
This one is rally 6 models back into your starting battle line units throughout the game. So it can be quite difficult, depending on what you play against. Then I have a cunning plan: win the battle without completing your grand strategy.
Very good.
I volunteer as tribute. Ensure your hero with the lowest number of wounds survives the battle, and the one with the highest dies. And if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. Have 3 separate units inflict a wound on a single target in one shooting phase.
I think most armies can do most of those. I mean, like number 7, the coming out of the goddamn walls one, Iron Jaws and Fire Slayers should be able to do that probably by turn 2.
Yeah, as long as you're killing them and not wiping out the unit in one go, and they get a chance to rally that within 3, So
yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. I mean,
you've got to play for it, I think, is what I'm saying. I don't think they're all achievable, but I think you've actually got to make decisions on the table to get them, not just, I get it because I exist,
Well, JP missed out on the podium because he was denied a secondary last year. The final event, which he was quite cross about because it was one of the ones he couldn't do anything about. So these have changed a little bit each time I've run the. Some of them have stayed because I like them and they've worked. Some of them have gone. The one that got dropped straight away was only in one event. I forgot what it was called, but give away the priority every turn if you win the priority, which you just can't stop your opponent doing. They are now all ones that you can in some way influence or have some agency in, which is.
I like the little I'm picking this and your opponent's like they make for good stories, but I think more than the first iteration of them that I saw, which is awesome.
Yeah, I would still change them up, and I'm always open to a bit of feedback on them if they don't work or they annoy everyone. Then I'll happily change them. There's probably like 30 of those from my first event to this event altogether.
I think they're fine.
Yeah,
like most armies can build a list or aim for 5. It's not.
Difficult. If you read the pack and you knew about them ahead of time, then most times you should be able to have like 6 or 7 of those.
I knew it'd be fine. I've got a balanced army. It'd be fine. It's got a bit of everything.
But a lot of people didn't read the pack.
Yeah,
shooty flyy pants over there. He's fine.
He's fine.
It's like, oh no, I've got to keep my soul render alive and lose my Eidolon. Oh no.
Here's my Eidolon.
Here's my Eidolon. He goes at every game. He gets killed. It's fine.
Try and reach that guy. He's surrounded by other people.
That would be the one game where he just kills everything he touches and makes
more of them.
Yeah. So that's how fickle he is. Our relationship. It's a love-hate relationship. It's really annoying. It's like a really nice model. So it's like the hot girl that abuses you. It's the Amber Heard of my army. That's what it is. Can I say that? Is that? No, I shouldn't say that, should I?
I think that's fine.
She's the type who might take it to court, but I doubt she listens.
I don't think she listens to FaceHammer, right?
You never know.
Maybe. Well,
I don't think she's got any friends left, so maybe she does.
She might Google hammer to the face to find out how to do the makeup, but other than that, I don't know. But anyway,
Russ. He's a nice man. He likes pints of mega wine.
So, yeah, he does. I saw that, mega pints. So your faction breakdown then is fairly healthy. Then it's pretty much everyone represented except Lumineth.
I think so. I was trying to work that out, but I got distracted before I worked out which factions were missing. But I do think Lumineth is the only glaring one.
It's normally like what you got like at the bottom, Beast, but they've had their pickup, so I imagine they're presented.
There is a Beast.
Like once or twice.
There's I think there's one Skaven, one Ogre tribes, 2 Nighthaunt, 1 Beast, 1 Gloomspite, and all the rest are kind of like 2 Sylvaneth, 1 Zinch.
Yeah.
The nice one is only like 4 Seraphon. I guess that's 4. And then
nice
8 Nurgle, I assume.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
Or not 7 Nurgle, which is appropriate, I think, as that's the number.
The first time I've ever been in the most represented faction at an event.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Still quite a lot of cities. 6%. Idoneth 7.7. So
that's cool to see.
Quite popular.
There's 6 Idoneths. Cities is broken into there's 2 living cities, 2 Hallow Heart, and a Tempest Eye. They're quite broadly represented. I looked at the sub alliances as well, but I didn't send you guys that. But this is just off. Oh, there we go. Who else did that? Nurgle, mostly the befouling host.
Yeah, not surprised.
Beasts are awful though, aren't they? Because we were told.
How many of the Idoneth armies are Morphan? That's what I want to know.
1.
Just me.
In fact, we've got a Domhain, a Fwethen, a Nautilar, a Morphan, a Nautilar, and an Iron Rat. There's only 1 duplication.
That's pretty good. Considering there's only 6 anyway.
That's so good. 5, 6 represented out of a small selection.
That's a sign of a really healthy book, I think.
It is. I think it is.
As well, you've got 3 of the lodges represented. So you've got
Greyford. Yeah. The best one. Everyone's sleeping on it right now.
So they look pretty good. Daughters. There's only 2, you guess?
Hagnar and Keltnar.
Hagnar and Calibron. The only 2 represented. I think that's really, I'm really impressed by the breadth of it. Khorne is all but 1 Reapers of Vengeance. Don't know what that does. Smash things.
The Reapers of Vengeance was the go-to pick, but I actually don't think it is anymore. I think it's, what's the other one? Just name it. I think it's probably... What's your
other
faction?
One,
yeah.
Scroll away, hang on, is the Skullfiend tribe.
Don't think it's that one. There's a demon one where you basically get a artifact that gives you Warrior Strike first, and it's not Reapers of Vengeance, and that's the one. I can't remember the name of it, but it's Reapers of Vengeance was you could fight twice and all that stuff, but the problem is because you're doing like the 6-inch pile in and stuff, you can't have multiple command abilities anymore, and it's not as good in my opinion, but it's still good. But yeah, it's
Stormcast. There are 6, all but 1 are hammers. There's a lonely hallowed knight.
Oh, is Gardas in attendance?
Of course he is.
Yeah.
Gardas and his mate Kazarai the Scarred.
Cool.
Yeah, he's the only Kazarai who's made it there, which is well, I'm not really that surprised because I did the comp thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Celestin Primes. I think he's the most used ally.
I'm not surprised because he's amazing.
He's a baller now.
So well
pointed. Let's make him twice as
He literally
resilient.
destroyed half my army when I played. I got double turned at the team event. He was just like a complete nightmare. I was like, this is ridiculous.
He's a little tank as well. I know Pete, our teammate, is kind of he hasn't dropped him from the list because he is in his list, but was on the fence about him, not thinking he did enough damage. But when he goes off, and he's absolutely immense.
Not his damage; it's just him not dying and doing an alright amount of damage. and being super flexible where it comes and having it poke, not bad. Yeah.
So
it's a Meteor thing that I love. The
AoE D3 mortals to everything.
Yeah, poke's great.
Auto charge.
Yeah, not to be underestimated. It's brilliant.
I thought that was once per game, that ability, but it's not. It's every turn. So one of the things I found interesting, you did the formation breakdown.
The battalion?
Yeah. And Battle Regiment is almost 40, what is it, 36 people?
37.
37. So that's quite a lot of one drops. So I don't know if someone's got it twice. I mean, there probably a couple people have it twice, but
a few people have it twice. There are a lot of one drop armies.
Or just people going for like 2, 3, 4 drops or whatever, that plus something else. If you can't fit into Warlord, which often happens if people don't have the 2 baby foot heroes, there's not a particularly sexy selection of stuff, and people just don't tend to think about, like a Vanguard and the other ones, which is like foot hero and 2 units of troops.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got
Command Garage, which I think is the one you said, the foot hero. Oh, that's
basically Warlord without a unit, basically.
Yeah, I love that one.
It's Hunters of the Halfland and Warlords. So it's basically most armies are Hunters and Warlord, or Battle Regiment, or if you're Gargants, it's Boss of the Stomp, right? So it's basically your choices. You might see the odd other one, but don't see it used much, to be honest. Alpha Beast Pack's quite good in KO, I think. But
with a frequency of small heroes, enough to be able to play the others. Like if you're doing 11 plus drops and 5 plus heroes, you can get 3 or 4 formations in fairly easily, but it's not very common in the game.
I like your Arcane Tome Graph as well.
It's funny that, isn't it?
Lots of them. Well, I'm not surprised.
On sale at Waterstones. There's 13 one drops. The highest number of drops is 16.
Lad, respect.
It's going to take a while.
That's equaling my maximum.
Yeah, there's 2 14s and a 16. The 16 is Khorne, which feels thematic.
Oh, that will be a fun army to play with.
Double the number, but yeah, it's getting there. It's a multiple of 8, so
yeah, I'm happy with that. The average is 6, which sounds about right to me. Actually, the comment I wrote, "What have I done?" was next to Flesh Eater Courts, not Khorne.
Oh, okay.
That is also an absolutely horrendous list. I think Flesh Eater Courts have also really benefited from that extra boost in points. Which other stats do you want to talk through? Do you want to talk about?
Well, I'm just looking at different graphs. So you've got probably some of the most interesting ones.
We haven't touched on the Grand Alliance breakdown, have we? We've said that each faction's well represented, but
I don't think I sent you an up-to-date one of that. I think I gave you the sub-faction, but I don't think I gave you Grand Alliance. I was going to
say, out of the boosted ones, it won't help me because I won't have time to get it into where it needs to be. So don't worry.
It won't have changed too much either.
So Flesh Eaters, there's 4, Gloom Spites 1, Nighthaunt 2, Skaven 1, Khorne 4, and Sylvaneth 1. They're the ones with the boosted points.
Yeah.
So that's 13 armies of those factions. So that's pretty nice to see.
Yeah, it is.
I just don't think you'd have seen them otherwise.
No.
That would have been 5 or something, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you've got diehard players like Nick Harding would probably always have run Flesh Eater Courts, and Speckles would probably always have run Nighthaunt. But beyond that, I think it's kind of encouraged, like you said, Brian, getting an army out of the cabinet that they'd just forgotten they even had.
Why not?
And giving it a bit of, let's have a bit of fun with it. And that's, it's lovely. People just have a bit of a laugh with stuff. And I actually discovered that it's still quite competitive. Flesh Eater Courts smack in the right combination.
Yeah. They still catch people
the
out.
Objective game if you're a techie player.
Still got double pile-ins and stuff like that, and you charge 2 things in, kill the screen, it then piles in, kill something, then piles in again. You still got that, still got potential. Or I much prefer Feast Day with the Umbral Cloak, whatever it is, the extra cast, the bonus to cast cloak, which I think is really good in Flesh Eaters. So I still think they've got game. I think they're vulnerable to some matchups, but in other matches they really do a number. I think especially if you go, the movement on them is crazy for scenario play as well. If you get a couple double turns at the right time and stuff, they can be really solid.
Great stuff with ice where you've got that kind of central focus and they can come up like pop on at board edges. I've lost them on that one. Yeah, super good.
So I've got the Count of Who, which I thought was quite an interesting one with some of the kind of the players. So obviously there's some of the ones that stand out to me. So we've got like 3 Scarbrands. So obviously the Khorne being quite represented with Scarbrand. Rotigus having 2, which is interesting because
it's interesting.
2 Nagash. Well, I just think like most people run a generic one. If you run double great and clean one, you might have Rotigus, but then you've got no points. So it seems it's interesting that people have decided to start taking Rotigus. I've just not seen him in a Nurgle list before.
Maybe it's just the type of event that encourages left field lists as well.
I know. I still think he's solid. I mean, I would run him over a normal great and clean one in some circumstances. It just depends.
Yeah, I've written some lists with him in.
You've got quite a few of the death characters. So you've got like 2 Nagashes. Nefrata's there. Manfred, I think there's 4 Manfreds. Or is it 3? No, 2 Manfreds. It's Marafi Kane that's 4.
Yeah. I wanted to do differential colours on this, but I can't work out how to do it. Not very good. Manfred's really good at the moment. I think there's only one Arcan who's in Bone Reapers.
I mean, he can only go in Bone Reapers, so yeah. He will be.
Can he?
Yeah,
he can now.
Because he's not in the Soulblight book anymore. So I had to repaint mine into my OBR colours and get rid of my other one because basically he doesn't fit in my armies anymore. So the paint scheme is out of date.
Obviously, don't pay a lot of attention.
2 Archeon.
Gravekeeper. Ghost of the Gravekeeper appears in quite a few death lists. He's
undercosted.
Yeah, there's some big gluey zombie lists
with Nagash probably, and then you go 75 points. Gorslav can also bring a unit of zombies, but yeah, it's solid. So
yeah, really, really good stuff.
I love the fact there's 1 Kurdos Valentin and 1 Lady Olinda. I expect to see those numbers go up shortly, but yeah, so they're good.
Foreshadowing,
without saying too much, and Lotan twice. I've got mine.
Yeah, I wrote a jokey comment about Lotan, and then you told me actually he's good now. Not long to go.
Oh, wait, it's fine. I've got to paint him, and I've got to paint 10 Reavers, and I've got a boat to do because I've got the Surging Gloomtide. So,
okay,
it's all good.
We'll get there.
We got there. Got like a week and a bit.
Still got to paint.
There's my Bellico.
It's in a box. 4 Celestant Primes. 3 blow-ups, 4 Bellicors, a Drog Fort Kicker, which is the allied death giant.
He's
in the flesh eaters, I assume.
No, he's in both of them are death lists. I think both are like Brave Lord's list.
Okay, maybe in zombie soup with giant.
He doesn't benefit from Mighty Mates Righteous though, so it would seem like slightly odd choice if you were going for that kind of.
I think the problem is you don't need the objective capture because you've got lots of zombies. You need something that does something. So
doesn't die.
You need
and has rend.
Is a monster that can score you battle tactics and
tell a lie. One of them is in Flesh Eater Claws.
Yeah. He's really good in Flesh Eaters.
Yeah, he's nice.
Yeah, I could see that working. In fact, I've lost to that list.
I was going to say, sir, is there a list you haven't lost to in?
I lost.
You could call me a twat. It's fine.
With the brand new Stormcast list, with Fulminators and Long Strikes and Celestin Prime. At 2,000 points.
It happens.
It's a special skill. I went 1-4 at that event.
That's good.
The other one is in Soulblight, is in a Vikros Dynasty.
Lady Belladama and stuff, I assume. So
yeah.
So grand strategy breakdown's interesting. So 40% hold the line. It's not that surprising. 30% price sorcery. So anyone who's running like big caster character that's hard to kill, Archeon lists and things like that. Beastmaster 20% because a lot of the destruction armies like that one. And then you've got Guarded Lineage, Pillars of Belief, Predator's Domain, and Dominating Presence sort of around the 4 to 1% mark, basically. So it's quite interesting that basically there's 3 that stand out, which is Hold the Line, Prey, Sorcerer, and Beastmaster.
It's like just the way 3 sets of lists land. It's like, have you got tough old battle line and plenty of it? Have you got tough old killy wizards or loads of them?
Yeah.
Or monster mash? Like I think all the Seraphon lists have taken Beastmaster.
Yeah.
Just total no-brainer.
You know,
there's 8 monsters in one of them. I think Ben Johnson's list has got 8 monsters, 6 Stegodons, Stylodon. What's the giant Velociraptor thing called? Carnosaur.
Oh, okay, not the Troglodon.
Yeah. No. So like, this is a no-brainer for them. I really like Dominating Presence. I've used that in my. Is
that the scenery capture?
No, that's just have more stuff alive than your opponent.
Okay.
Your starting army at the end of the game. Obviously, with being fairly committed to running 9 jaws at the moment, that kind of makes sense, because if I haven't killed someone's army, then I tend to have lost the game. So that's a pretty straightforward one for me.
But then would it matter then? Because surely you need it in games that are close rather than games that are...
I don't have games that are close.
Fair enough.
I just don't.
I actually was surprised how often I was able to do the Idoneth Gloomtide one where they can't get near my boat because people just weren't out of position, was just not near it, and they were like, "Oh, it's kind of not." I have to go and stand next to that or do something else. When at the end of the game and you haven't got many models left, and it's like
you left with a horrible choice.
Forces people to lose a battle tactic to stop me getting the ground strategy or something like that. So. It's
really handy. I don't know what Guarded Lineage does. I think that's the Fire Slayers one. I'm assuming it's alive.
They've got some weird ones. They got one that's quite good that's to do with invocations, because other people just can't get rid of it.
That's probably Guarded Lineage. I don't know.
Yeah. I couldn't stop my opponent from having that at the event that we were at.
Oh, Predator's Domain's the scenery capture, isn't it? So
yes, yeah, it is. I think Pillars of Belief is keep a
priest.
Wizard. A priest alive, yeah.
Prize Sorcery's Wizard, yeah. Then Triumphs, we've got mostly Inspired, a couple Bloodthirsty, Indomitable, some have got none. And my Triumph shall be Victory, whatever that is.
Yeah, someone wrote their own in. They decided not to take a Triumph.
I was going to say, like,
my Triumph will be Victory.
Not a thing. So,
should I name check that brave and slightly
is
mad?
That the Sylvaneth player?
I was just going to say
to have the extra points, because that would be quite funny.
Very wicked if it was.
And it's really bold. Oh, I've even written it down. Oh, hang on, I'm looking at the wrong thing. I don't think it was the Sylvaneth player. No, it was Miles Mullikins, who is running Khorne with Scarbrand and Be'lakor.
Solid.
That does sound pretty good, actually.
Oh, what have you done? Scarbrand and Be'lakor.
Scarbrand, Be'lakor, 3
It's the Flesh Eater Courts and the Khorne. Maybe I should match up all the Flesh Eater Courts lists and the Khorne lists.
Oh, I'd love to watch those games. They'd be wicked games. This can kill everything. This can bring everything back and can kill everything. Let's go. One of your things can't work.
I'm streaming, so you could try and put one of those on the stream. I could engineer that first round and see what happens. I quite like to watch that, but I won't get to. So,
yeah, who have you got streaming? Sorry, I didn't know you were on the stream.
Ben Bailey from the Hobby Room.
Oh, okay.
Has offered to come and do the stream.
Nice.
He's a lovely chap, Ben. He's also providing trophies for the sports awards, which I've done slightly differently.
Oh, wicked.
So are they a red finger or foot or hand, or because your trophies are kind of garishly disgusting?
Yeah, they're vile. I've been
cups, which are nice.
My mugs will be available for sale. I'm not doing any pointy fingers. The claw fingers will be on offer. So there's 6 fists. So first, second, third, and the painting awards will be my fists. It is literally my fist. It's a cast of my own hand, so you have fun with that in your own time. There's 2 trophies for sports. We split that out into the Clean Gamer Award and most enjoyable game, which will be Ben Bailey's trophies in my Carnage Red. And then there's last place, which will be a foot. I haven't cast my own foot yet.
Just found a foot.
If I do get around Worsley, you never know. Person walking
probably some mannequins on the floor. Seems like that type of place.
Just break into an old Debenhams, but I might cast up my own foot. Or it feels a bit ostentatious for just one award each tournament, but I've done weirder things. And then the best of the rest, which is the best in factions that didn't make the podium, will be a little finger.
Oh.
I know you particularly like the fingers, Russ.
Yeah, the one I got before from your event may not have made it to my trophy cabinet and may have ended up in the bin.
Was it a pointy finger?
No, it was that horrible hook finger.
Oh yeah, I've got those again.
Oh.
Yeah.
They're vile, aren't they? They are display models for acrylic nails in nail shops.
I wonder what it was. I just thought it was like a horrific novelty coat hook.
No,
like somebody wanted.
Oh my god, the house where that as a coat
to
hook.
Be like these weird fingers. Now Alex is thinking, that's a good idea.
I'm really not. You've not been to my house. I would never get that past.
No, I can see in the background that you're not allowed.
In your hobby room or something for a coat hook,
you might be allowed to express your disgusting thoughts.
I'm not sure even my slightly odd taste would put up with that. Anyway, so yeah, there are odd trophies up for grabs. Which would be nice. The one I'm interested to see how it pans out is the sporting one, because I've split that out. Because I've talked to you both about this. So I think that the way we do best sports is not quite right. I think that there's two things going on. There's people who are able to just be like really honest and clean and upfront and run a really, really tight game. That is not synonymous with, being bombastic.
Oh, best BFFs post game.
Let's go for a drink after turn one. Like they're not, they don't have to be the same thing, nor are they mutually exclusive. I split the sporting award into two. So when the time comes, you will get to vote for the person who gave you your cleanest game, so the most upfront, honest, tight game, and the person you just enjoyed playing the most. You have a really nice time with.
Can you give them both to the same person?
Of course you can. If it happens to be the same person, then the same person gets both votes. If you just had a really good time playing someone, but it was all a bit, then vote for them, and then vote for someone else for the Clean Name Award. It's entirely up to you. Like I say, it's a bit of an experiment. See how it goes. Someone might walk away with 2 trophies. I don't mind.
2 feet. No weighting. Is that it? Are they feet, these ones, or are they hands?
No, they're proper ones from Bailey. They're massive weapons.
Are they really?
Yeah, they're pretty cool. Not as cool as a big red fist. Nothing is, but they are pretty awesome trophies.
They could also be construed as weapons, right? So.
Or recreational tools.
Okay, let's move on. So you picked out a couple lists, didn't you? So I thought we could probably run through those. So you picked out 5 lists, I think.
Did, yeah. I picked out 5.
We did the 2. You got 2 that are quirky, right?
Yeah, I picked out 2 like wildcats. Call them wildcats. So these are lists that I don't think are dreadful, but are a little bit different, and I think could potentially do well if they get a little bit lucky. So the first of them is Speckles. Is Nighthaunt. So
if it works,
list review. I'm just opening it now as well.
That's probably why it's not working. It's like, 2 people accessing the same thing at the same time.
His list has got a name. I like this was named just the Final Night Haunting.
It's a really bad format, but yeah, okay. So, Emerald Host.
Yeah.
What? Guardian of Souls and Nightmare Lantern with the Beacon of Nagashar, Lord of the Underworlds. It's just a mess, this format, is it? Shade Mist, Knight of Shrouds on Steed, General, Lord of the Host, Accruciator, Pendant of Fell Wind, Kurstos Valentine, Lady Alinda, Spirit Drain, 10 Chainrast, 20 Grimghasts, 15 Hex Wraiths, 10 Harridans, 10 Harridans, 10 Harridans, 8 banshees, a corpse cart with a brazier, a black coach, the burning head. There you go.
It's great, isn't it?
Captured most of that is horrifically.
You can get a lot of stuff in 2,250 points a Nighthaunt.
Yeah, paying billions of monsters. Yeah,
I just think it's amazing. None of it's going to go anywhere. There's 130 odd wounds of it. The unit of 15 hex rates will do some work.
You're so upset if you're playing that as Gargants.
Yeah,
you can't rend it, and you're scaling with damage. That'd be an interesting game.
He's got crazy board control, like really, really good agile unit. You can't get rid of particularly easily. The double hero wins it for me. I just think it's a fun list, but also it's got quite a lot of game. And knowing Speckles, he knows Nighthaunt better than most people, current guys. I think they say it's matchup dependent. There's some things that will just take it to pieces. But I think that could go 4-in-1. Downside for it, it's got 14 drops, so it's never going to be having the first turn.
But sometimes, sometimes you don't want the first turn because you got a chance for a double. But because the way Nighthaunt work, because they could deploy off the table and then pop up,
it's cool.
Giving them the first turn is risky, right? So
especially that amount of stodge.
Yeah,
I'm queued up by 15 hex rates.
Yeah, I imagine the Harridans would be like just popping up and going for charges, right? I mean, there's like 30 of them. Harridans, I don't see a lot of them on the table. I can't remember what Emerald Host does, but I know there's some bonuses for something.
I think it's extra chargy stuff, if I'm not wrong.
Pass, don't know. I can't. I've got the other book in my head, so I can't comment. Because I've been reading that the last 2 days, so I've not been.
With the dropping stuff off the board as well, the high drops is useful because you can put something completely hopeless on the board that is, of no consequence.
So there's a lot in there.
Just put the other stuff that is of consequence off the board. It's got there's really, really good choices. I just like it. It's good. It's a bit mental. It's a fun list. Makes really good use of the extra points. We'll see.
It's interesting. No blade guys, and no revenants, and no Riken of the Grim Hailer. So it's wrong. Gotta have those if you play Nighthaunt because they're the coolest models. So
Riken is a super fun model. I did a horrible paint job on that, which is why he's in the table. It's a rare miss. It didn't get yeeted across the room though, which is often what happens when I paint a model badly. That's why they don't make it. Yeah, it's why they don't make
strip path.
No, I just throw them across the room and put them in the bin. Start another army. It's easier.
Scenery.
The wild card one was Johnny Armstrong's Skaventide, the only Skaven player who's made it to the event. It's much better formatting on this, Russ.
Oh, yay. It's proper format.
Properly formatted. This is really leaning into Jezzails, basically. It's a bit of a glass cannon. I just like the idea of it. It's kind of a weird mirror of long strikes and storm drakes with all the stuff that used to be good in Skaven that just isn't really very good anymore. It's possibly about to not be very good again if rumours are to be believed. He's got a Deceiver, which is the Eshin Vermin Lord, Master Molder, who's there to basically just buff the 8 Rat Ogres, which all have mutations. They do smack quite hard. Warlock Bombardier, who's there to basically babysit those Jezzails. 3 units of 20 Clan Rat battle lines, 2 units of 4 Rat Ogres, 6 Giant Rats. I don't really know why they're in there. It might just be to make up the points. And then 3 units of 3 Jezzails. 3 units of Jezzails, they're 2 apiece. But it's got some potential. I think it will catch some people off guard. Jezzails, when they go off and they are properly buffed, will take something like a Maw Crusher off the table without much effort. They're just as good a range.
Not short on monsters at the event from the stuff that you reeled off earlier either. So plenty of nice targets, which might be prime targets.
Yeah, and that's the other little edge they've got, being Prime Hunters and not giving away any of those points themselves, I think picking off enough stuff, they could take a few games that they otherwise maybe wouldn't have done. I think it's very matchup dependent and needs to be played quite tight. But I would rate it. It's a massive amount of stuff to chew through as well if it's deployed well and castled properly. The scenarios might decide it. But I could see that going certainly 3-2, maybe 4-1 the right way. We'll see.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't really know what a lot of it does, but probably dice.
Shoots you, Russ.
Right. So
shoots you and smacks you, and then doesn't run away because it's got a deceiver there. So my other three, these are three that I actually think could potentially take out the event. One of which is still a little bit of a wild card. Do you want me to do these in order of the way I think they might turn out?
However you want to do it. Yeah.
So I'll go with the one I think is the most outside here. So this is the one I wrote, what have I done next to? This is Nick Harding's Flesh Eater Courts list.
Okay, let me just...
So this is the Flesh Eater Courts with...
Giant.
I was going to say Bundo Corpse Eater, but that's Blood Bowl. It's big drop for just as sensible a name. Yeah. And like as we said earlier...
the Dermal Robe, that's the one. Yeah, and Dark Wizardry, yeah.
So I've effectively given this list the Aberrant Archregent for free, which means that I've given them an Aberrant Archregent and 3 Flayers for free. So
they got 400 points instead of 250.
Basically, yeah. Whoops. What have I done? So it's exactly what he's played. 2 Aberrant Archregents, an Aberrant Ghoul King on Terrorgeist ×2, Big Drog Forked Kicker, 4 units of 10 Crypt Ghouls, and that's your lot. It doesn't feel like a lot, but that will absolutely
basic wounds.
Yeah, a huge pile of wounds.
Well, you can bring on like 2 Varghulfs and 2 units of Knights, so effectively Crypt Flayers or Horrors.
Yeah,
with that layout of what you've got there. Or if you really wanted to, 2 units of 20 Ghouls from the Archregents. It's
crazy. You could end up with like 3,000 points worth of stuff on the table by the end of like turn 2. It's got a lot of game. And like I said, I have lost to Nick with a very similar version of this list. When I
write scenarios as well. Like it's fairly well rounded, but some it's just going to be brilliant at because of its potential for summoning a billion things. You basically don't want to face into your opponent's shooting. And if you don't get a run of shooting matchups, you're just going to be dropping so much stuff down.
Yeah.
Plus a giant. Why not?
Flaming Weapon's interesting on a Ghoul King as well because he got a lot of like damage 1 attacks. Making those damage 2 is pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's a really, really tasty list. I think the reason I chose this as opposed to some of the Flesh Eater Courts list is because Nick has run only Flesh Eater Courts for like 3 years. He just knows what he's doing with them. He knows what he can and can't do, and that shouldn't be underestimated. So I think, like you say,
it looks like he's chosen all the stuff that it's Feast Days, Dermal Road. He's got Dark Wizardry. He's got the Run and Charge spell multiple times. It's like all the stuff that you think these are things that you don't see. People are running like Gristle Gore still like stuck in AOS 2, but this is like definitely an AOS 3 list. So yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah, he knows his stuff, and it shows. So he should do pretty well. We'll see. Next one, similar sort of rationale behind the choice is Luke Churchus, who's running Stormcast Eternals. So this is one of the lists that made me want to be sick. He is still run despite all my comp. That list, which is making people quite unhappy. With only a slight concession to the theme of the event being don't take a list like this. So Stormcast Eternals, Hammer Sigmar Scions. He's got a Lord Relictor, basically all the stuff we talked about and joked about earlier. He's got a Lord Relictor with Mirror Shield, so you can't shoot him very easily. Translocation spell. He's got a little Castellan, which is a slightly unusual choice. But
very good. Plus very save. I mean, like this is a lot of. I think he's underused. Actually,
agreed.
He was always my first hero in every Stormcast list I ever wrote. So
He's well pointed as well. I mean, castling the long strikes, which he will do with behind the vindictors with the castellan. He's like castellan, made a little castle. Losing the name. He's got 2 Dracodian Guard concussors. He's got 6 Vanguard Raptors and 4 Storm Drake Guard in a 1-drop battle regiment.
Solid.
Yeah, it does what it does. Again, the Stormcast lists that are coming don't all look like this. The reason I chose this is obviously because it is a very good list, but also because Luke's been running it for a long time.
It's like even with your comp, you just translocate them 9 away, they move 6, they're 3 away. Doesn't really matter. So
what I've done is that neutralization is just a discouragement, and it's been open for someone to not take that, and that's fine.
It's a difference if you took an all dragon army, because then every unit's doing it, right? Whereas this is just 1 unit, which is what this
some
list
other good stuff.
only
Yeah,
needs.
the concussors
are a good choice. I know. Yeah, I know they look good, but it's very solid. I think it could do very well. And because obviously I've got the advantage of having seen all the lists. I think in the field, there's not many things it could come up against and have really difficult time in shifting it. The only wild card there in the equation is I don't know what the scenarios are any more than anyone else does at this point. It might just get the wrong matchup with the wrong scenario at the wrong time. Other than that, I think that he could potentially have a pretty clear route to the top table towards the end of the event. And then the last one I picked out was actually Mike Stewart, who
isn't running Seraphon for once.
No, so uncharacteristically not running Seraphon.
Maybe because of the comp, right?
Possibly because I might have given him a bit of stick about it in the books chat.
Yeah.
But also, in deepkin, which are good now. We're always good, but a little bit better now. Do you want to talk through this one, Russ? Because I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, so he's got the Achillean King. So he's in Ironrack Enclave, which escapes me what it does.
Fish things.
Angry fish things.
I have this, so I can tell you. Almost like I was doing stuff with my book.
Well, Russ finds it. If people need to know the rough breakdown of Grand Alliances, if they were curious, it's about 5% death, 10% destruction, 22% chaos, and then the rest is order, being 61%.
That's a big order chunk of pie, isn't it?
Order.
This is the best armies. I mean, I'm not surprised, even with this comp. So you get heroic action, Legacy of Glory. So you basically pick a Achillean, which is the combat guys, basically. Unit wholly within 12 of the hero to the end of the tide. You can choose that unit to be affected by flood or ebb tide, which is either the run and charge or the retreat and charge. So it's okay, like useful. So you've got the king. This is kind of like the slap king, if you want to call it that. So he's given the arcane tome to give him a spell, and he's got flaming weapon to increase his damage. He gets unstoppable fury, so when he charges, he gets extra 2 attacks in high tide for every unit within 3. And void shield darkness is if you're within 3 inches of him, you're -1 to hit. Not him, just everything. So it's like a curse book.
Wicked. He's such a good character.
Volturnus, obviously you've got he's got the high tide ability as well, and then Volturnus is sort of like doubling down on that. Then you've got a Tidecaster who's got the Rune of the Surging Gloontide, which allows you to set up a new shipwreck. And because you've got an Ishran, you gain access to the rituals. And because you've got a Tidecaster, you actually get 2 rituals. So you get 2 benefits, which could be 5 at Wars and High Tide for Referrals, or it could be more likely is probably his like mortal wounds when he retreats. So he can use the heroic action to allow a unit to retreat and charge. They retreat, do mortal wounds, and you also get the bonuses to run and charge in that type. So you've got there's a lot of options with the rituals because you get 2. So you can choose those 2. You can choose. So it looks like he's really lent into, your kind of the Achillean stuff. I think the Thralls are just there to stand objectives. I don't think they could be using these aggressively. Obviously, 2 units of Alapex is just solid. You get the bubble bonus off the kings for Achelians as well, and they're Achelian, and then more Sargard, which are all like, you know, the eels, so the lightning eels, which nice, interesting to see them. I've not seen
those for ages. In very few Idoneth lists I've seen, are they still a bit of a thing?
But because he's got a king, they're battle line. So because if he wanted to run more Alapexes, which are probably better, they're not battle line unless you change your enclave to Futan, which then doesn't unlock the ability, the heroic action. So he's got it. He's 2,000 points on the nose. He's got hunters in for the free combat units. So this is all about the damage potential of those units on the charge is horrific, because the king and Volturnus hit really hard. I'm just going to remind myself on Volturnus because I'm not 100% sure what he does over the normal.
The damage he heals as well. It's just nice to have a little bit of mortal potential there. Never hurts, does it?
Just to chip something down before you actually have to start rolling dice. Not having it reliable.
Yeah, this is so he's got Supreme Lord of Tides and the Achillean King's got Lord of Tides. So they've got two different abilities which allows you to have High Tide. So he can do High Tide in 3 out of the 5 turns on the main units that count. You get +1 to hit for Achillean units holding within 12, which is the AoE buff. The other hero's got it within 9. Obviously, other than that, basically Volturnus is probably just there because he's got that ability.
Solid. So it's just an army that basically all will do the same things in all the turns that matter, because probably someone's dead by then, or you hope they are.
Yeah, and that heroic action, being able to retreat and charge on any turn, is massive, because if you're pinned with something, you need to go somewhere else. You go, right, heroic action, I'm going to make them affected by Ebb Tide so they can retreat and charge. And the ritual gives me mortals want to do it, or whatever. So if you're pinned by like something with a wound, you could retreat out, do the mortal, ping that off, charge something else. So it's very flexible. I do like the list a lot. I think it's really good. So
it's really smart. I mean, I picked it because I knew Mike would write a solid list, and he's just really good with the armies he plays. He's thought through what he's going to do with them before he gets to the table. And he was second last time. I think he's hungry for it. This is his time. So he's my top tip.
Dropped one scaly thing and replaced it with some other scaly things.
Yeah. I have less of an issue with these scaly things than I do with the other scaly things. So this is good for me. So they're my top list. I mean, there are some genuinely interesting ones in there. Like I say, there's only a couple that I maybe want to, hurl something at a wall. And that's good. That's objective achieved. Say I'd happily play a lot of them, and I'd quite like to play with some of them. I think it's a good sign of a really interesting list. Maybe I'll do that. Which is why it's a shame there aren't more Skaven lists, because I think that book still has some really fun combinations in it. And it would have been nice to see a little last gasp of it before it gets replaced with something else.
Yeah, I think it's just a bit tired. I don't think it stands up very well in AOS3, but that's just me. So. Yeah, interesting. So your predictions, I like that. I'm not hurt you didn't pick me. A little bit.
You can pick you.
No, that's fine. No, I mean, I do. My list is quite all round. So I've made a couple of changes. So all I've done is I've kept the aspect of the sea in, which I might regret. I've still got the tide flip, and the reason I got the tide flip is to help me in the mirror match. I've increased the number of Reavers I've got, and I've blobbed my Thralls into 120, and I've dropped the Thrall Master for Lotan, so I can have a ward on the unit of 20 outside of High Tide. So, and I've also got the rune of the Surging Gloomtide, so I can use like another boat for blocking, and also for sort of giving me a more advanced fire base of ward save bubble, basically. I just really like that. I think it's good as well because you can set up 2 halves of the boat, so you can always have a boat and then move up and set 2 other halves of a boat, and you've almost got like a triangle of like ward save stuff that's good. And you can also set those boats up quite close so they can't fit through the gap because they're impassable. So if you've got a Kragnos, you can actually like block him being able to charge through the gap, which is nice because
can you smash the boat to pieces then though?
You can have a go, but it's a free up in it, so
yeah.
Plus he's got to be the other side of the boat because he can't stand on it, and then he's probably not that close, so
maybe not then.
You just stand quite far away the other side, so he can't go through the gap, can't really go around, and he gets a 3d6 charge. He can try and smash one of the boats down, but it just gives me a little bit of something to disrupt it rather than just being automatic and in my face. So we'll see. I've not used it before, so it's all theory. And I've also still got my Leviathan, and I've switched the trait out from reverberating to ancient, which is the ignore the rem one, because I've figured I'm not so worried about trying to cover 2 units of thralls in 2 different places. I've got 1 blob, so he just needs to be near them. So it's I do find that Holy Within 12 very restrictive. I have been looking at lists running no Leviathan. I do actually really like Mike's list, actually. I think it's good.
So it does. Yeah, I think it's got real potential.
Yeah, it's nice to see some more Sargard on the list, to be honest. But their battle line, like I say, they're a good combat battle line that does a job. So yeah, I might have to run that at some point to see how it plays. It's a good excuse to paint a Volturnus. But yeah, so that's cool. Byron, you're doing a Nurgle list with Be'lakor?
Yeah, Nurgle with Be'lakor. I think so. My list was a bit slow. Like, it was very good for teams, but I think in a less specific environment, I also got bored. Let's face it. And visually, I think he adds quite a lot to the army, or should add quite a lot to the army. I'm banking on it. So yeah, I just wanted the chance to have something that moves around faster, because my army's so slow, and I've got a short attention span. So while I was stood there just waiting for people, it would have been really nice to have an option to go out and stop people from playing, placing a crappy unit on an objective. I couldn't do anything about that, and drones do not make charges. I've got some off-table drops, but I've had really, really bad luck with them, and it's not luck. 9-inch charges aren't that likely to happen.
Yeah, but over 5 games, like rolling 3 a game, you should get a couple.
I use to reroll every single time,
so you should get a few. I mean,
I made 1 in our event in my last game.
It was weird because when I did that, I had the same issue, and I think it's a trap dropping them early unless you're able to get round behind them in their territory, which then causes a massive issue.
I'll always take that if it's the most annoying thing I can do. I'll always take an early, but otherwise I've tried to sit on them until turn 3 as much as possible, unless it's like I can't make a scenario. Sorry, I can't grab an objective without them or something. But I felt lacking in control of far away bits of the table, basically, where there were enemy models. So I wanted something that could fly up there super quick, make a charge, which would be nice, and then fight as a monster, which is useful. And he casts some spells, so a debuff felt like a good thing. His spell fits quite well in Nurgle, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he's a wizard. He's got the disruption on battle tactic, which is really important with Nurgle because you're trying to play the scenario in long game over 5 turns. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see how he goes.
My games went so long, so many times, like winning by 2 in the last round, which is wicked. But
it's tiring.
A bit hairy.
It's exhausting. Yeah, it's really hard.
I do quite like when Brad just had the 1 Lord of Afflictions, the 1 single Puscoil, because that's enough drop unit to do the battle tactic, but also like
tiny footprint as well. Whatever corner someone's left, it's so different.
I think it's quite disruptive, and I'd even be tempted not even to bring them down on turn 1, because then they're like, oh, do I move forward? And I have to kind of worry about it after I move.
If you can keep the threat off, absolutely.
So especially in like longer format missions where you like the Star Strike equivalent, where it's called, and like others where you don't necessarily have objectives down, or they're worth more later in the game. It's kind of like you can play patient.
Set off it. I quite like the option to deploy your army very far forward by Nurgle standards. Be given the first drop back, and then just drop a complete. It's
Wall.
Nurgle. They're still pretty tough. You just drop a wall in there, and in the right scenario, that can be really, really powerful. Or if you're against a Kragnos or something like that, it gives you some options. But I wanted a fast guy in there, basically.
Yeah. Interesting. So, I think that's basically everything about the event we've talked about. Is there anything, do you want to, if people were interested in going to your events in the future, what's the best place to find out about them? Is it just Twitter, or is it, do you post on TGA, or what's the...
I'm pretty prolific on Twitter, so if I'm just trying to check my own Twitter handle the moment you said that, because I knew you were going to ask me and I can't remember it because I'm broken. Twitter's the best place. AJ Ghostarm on Twitter, or actually I'm quite good at keeping information up to date on my website as well. So if you go to carnagetickets.com/buy stuff, or just carnagetickets.com.
There you go.
Then you can buy Carnage tickets. There's a little
I'll put a link in the description. So so just click from the link.
There's a tab for when the event is, what to expect, and links to the pack as well. Because I appreciate on Twitter, if you're not a Twitterer, then it's quite hard to find that. So that's the best place to go. And I'm always happy to, if people message me on Twitter, my DMs are open.
So slide into your DMs if they want to know more.
I just feel saying it. I'm always up to help. And there are still some tickets for August if anyone did fancy it. Technically, there's a ticket for the weekend coming, but I imagine it might have gone by the time this comes out because someone has just messaged me whilst we've been talking. For August, there are 8.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you fancy it, there's no comp. That 8 available. There is teams, but that is sold out. So there's not really much point promoting it unless you've got a team of 4 people who desperately want to come and you want to be on a reserves list for teams in November. But I'll be back next year with more. We'll probably do the same 3 again. These seem to be resoundingly popular. And I inexplicably enjoy putting myself through the trauma of putting them together. So long way.
Enough to forget it's a bad idea and think it might be a good idea.
I'm not sure 3 months is long enough. So between May and August, there's 3 months. I'm pretty sure I'm still going to be quite traumatized and probably still quite tired from May.
Everyone be nice to LA.
I can I can take one of those August tickets because I don't think I've actually got one for that event, but I think I'm around. So
that's grand. It'd be nice to me. Don't buy me drinks on Saturday
because you can't. I know that was I had to try to ward Paul Haley off at FaceHammer because he was like, "Oh, get your drink." I was like, "Yeah, but I've got to do admin. And I can't drink and do admin.
And I've got to do a quiz straight afterwards as well.
A quiz,
special quiz. You're getting a FaceHammer as well. Special FaceHammer quiz.
Yeah.
I've not recorded the special music round yet.
God.
Yes, there will be a club style singing music round. We'll be making a awaited return, dreaded return. It's certainly not by popular demand. Everyone hates it.
I don't know. It's just how quick you've got to be because it's like there's not many much pause between them, so it's almost like it's quick into the next one. So that's my feedback. Just have a little bit of a pause between the recordings.
After games of ages,
give 30 seconds or a minute to people just discuss and have a chat, and then
it is a bad time of the day to a quiz bar at night. Everyone's tired and probably quite drunk. But
I seem to remember somebody being asleep during one of your quizzes who was meant to be on our team.
This one.
Hello.
Naps.
I'm very looking forward to it, and I've had a chat with the new bar and events manager today, and he's been very accommodating. There's a few little drinks requests have gone in, or things that ran out previously are going to be in abundant stock, which is super lovely. I can't wait, really. Almost all the admin bits are out of the way. I haven't made the trophies yet. It's the last thing I've got to do. That'll take me a day or two to do those and dry them and spray them. So,
I'm excited. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Like the first time I came to one of your events, I'm always jealous that I don't get to attend FACEHAMMER, and I attended it. Was like, sweet. There's the same type of buzz walking into this room. Wonderful. I should be doing this.
Obviously, they're the same venue, which does help a great deal with that. But yeah, there's a similar kind of everyone's on the same page.
Yeah, for sure.
With what the event is about. So yeah, I can't wait. Lots of people I haven't seen for a while, and get to hang out with you guys, which is always lovely. And yeah, do some awkward clapping on Sunday when we find out who wins.
Claps. Yeah, that's cool. Well, yeah, we'll see the predictions, and we'll do coverage of the event when we come back and see how we get on. So just sort of say thanks for coming on, talking through the comp and the pack and your thoughts. And I think if anyone wants to put below their thoughts or comp they might have added, they've got any ideas, absolutely. Or if they disagree or they dislike, or they think, they wouldn't go to that event. I mean, it's it's irrelevant other than just to share your opinion, but that's what the internet's for, right? So yeah, it'd be nice to hear what people think. So especially people that maybe are not in the UK.
Yeah, I was
it's
just
quite
say
unusual for events to have rules changes and comp, and I think even in the UK,
one bit of America, yeah,
this is like the first one that's got extensive comp. Like if you don't discount the couple lines that we had at FACEHAMMER, but be interested to see what people think, or if there's thing they think it should have gone in or didn't go in, or they disagree with some of it. It'd just be interested to have a discussion. So put it below in the comments. I always look forward to reading people's different points of view. If you'd
definitely like to see some of these in FACEHAMMER, we have suggestions for what you definitely like to see in FACEHAMMER. We are genuinely super interested in that.
Yeah, I'm still leaning towards the modified handicap pools that we used to run at for South Coast. So you had the power.
We can't ban lizards.
I want to ban anything because, like, they're still people. I mean, maybe sub people, but they are people, right? Even if they've got tails. But yeah, so there's the 5 power pool and the 5 soft pool, and you can't go. That worked really well when we did it at South Coast many years ago. So I might try and resurrect that in some form using the kind of Prime Hunters victory point adjustment handicap. So
the one that I thought about doing for Prime Hunters only quite recently, so it's too late, was giving the points up front.
Yeah, we spoke about that on the show. We literally said that's what we would do. Just literally work out what those points are and have them at the start.
Yeah, because if you're going spice, it doesn't matter. We've already covered it. Like you dudes still don't have rend. You still can't kill
which is
save.
A modified version of that, because I disagree with some of the pool choices. So it's like I don't think they're extensive enough, and I think some things are too much, and so I think
too severe.
A modified list of basically stuff that gives you bonus points and things that gives you a offset to those bonus points. So like if you take certain units, they would reduce your handicap. So if you take
not only units, you could put other things in there,
allegiances or whatever. So
absolutely,
like you could find the Arcane Tome, for example, is a handicap point because that kind of thing. Or battle regiment might be. So so I need to write a list of things that I think are prolific, and then basically it will come out in the wash. If you play someone with a similar powerful army, you're probably going to net out to just playing a game. But if you play someone who's got quite a soft list, then you're going to be on a handicap. So
I'll do the same stats exercise for the August event. So if you want to take those stats and use those as a base for what is prolific for FACEHAMMER, probably not a bad basis, given that I'm going to have no comp there. It gives you a kind of no holds barred set of data to base it on.
I wonder how much less varied things will be. That's really interesting.
It'd be quite interesting to compare the two to see, and it'll give you
an
a
amount
kind
of units taken or something.
Maybe I mean, it's not going to be a direct comparison, but you'll be able to see the impact of having comp and not having comp, maybe to a point. So I definitely think it has an impact on people not taking, because I think, for example, like Mike probably would have run Thunder Lizards if there wasn't this comp in place.
Possibly. We'll never know.
But 2 pool places.
Well, I'll ask him.
Turning up.
When I'm there, I'll ask him. So,
lovely.
All right. Well, thanks very much. And thanks everyone for watching. We'll check you all again soon.
See you a bit, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Cheerio.